All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Money Monday. And today I am here to talk about budgeting. That is a topic that I covered recently on top 10 things to keep in mind when it comes to maximizing your income. But today I'm going to take a deep dive into budgeting. And the reason being is because budgeting is going to be the foundation to where you can take your financial gain and your future. Because really, budgeting sets up the foundation for you. Because then you're now able to see where you at and where you can go and how far you can stretch yourself. Now, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Steve and I'm a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And my background really is in the hospitality and sales. And I've done that for over a couple of years, at least at minimum 5. I've been in the hospitality for most of my life because my parents had a restaurant. And then I really wanted to step away from that. And that is when I discovered my passion for sales. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. And I've been very successful at it to my level because I've been able to train and get better at it because I was constantly improving myself. Now, really today is not about myself because I really want to add some value to you guys by expanding on the topics of budgeting and showing you guys how you can maximize on what you're currently making. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. I'm super excited that you actually tune in with me, and we're gonna go ahead and go straight to the topic without taking too much of your time. So, really, what I want to talk to you about today is mistakes that I've seen so many times when it comes to budgeting and how we can avoid some of these mistakes. All right, so. The topic is going to be no more mistakes with budgeting. And first of all, let me get to the bottom of this because a lot of us we've heard about the topic budgeting and we don't really know what it is. So I really want to clarify that. Now, a budget is an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. And on definitions online through Google and dictionary is the amount of money needed or available for a purpose. And really, the bottom line of budgeting is simply balancing your expenses with your income. Now, if you don't have enough money to do everything you would like to do, then you can use this planning process to prioritize your spending and focus your money on the things that are most important to you. Now, some of the areas budgetings are used are businesses, the governments, and other organizations. And some, mm, so like I said, guys, it is the process of creating a plan to spend your money. That plan includes balancing your expenses and income. And why is it important, really? Because what's the point of having a budget? Because at the end of the day, if you don't know why it's important, then what's the point of doing it, right? So, because budgeting allows you to create a spending plan for your money, it helps to ensure that you will always have enough money for the things that are important to you. All right. And some of the benefits of budgeting, for example, is to have better control of your money, right? This, I don't know about you guys, but I love to be able to control the things that I can control. And for some of us, you know, personally for me, that's being able to have control over my money. That's very important because I need to be able what I can afford, what I can do, and the thing is how far I can stretch it really because that's very important to me. And the next thing is to be able to creating a margin in your finances. Really being able to know your financial number, it helps you to be able to create a margin in your finances. And just like the books, there's margin. It tells you how far you can go, and that's very important to be able to do that, especially in the area of financing. And then also you're able to have a progress, and then you can create savings opportunity. So if you're just spending without knowing where your money can go, you just basically driving with no destination. But however, if you have a budget, you now able to see savings opportunity, and then you can see how far your money can go, and where you can take it. All right. And let's see here. The next thing we have is going to be mindset. Mindset is very important, guys. Now, before you start a budget, you have to determine why you're doing it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a clear why as to why you budgeting, it wouldn't make sense. Because what's going to happen is that anything that you're doing, you need to know why you're doing it. Because most important thing is to decide to do something, but also know why. Because once it gets tough, once it gets hard, the only thing that's going to be able to allow you to move forward is your why. Because that's the things that's going to pull you. So it's very important to know why you're budgeting, because that's going to help you stick to it and then also make it happen. And then having a positive mindset will be the key on whether or not you're successful. Now, what I mean by that is everything you're doing, you always hear having a positive mindset. Now, a positive mindset would allow you to be able to focus on the goal and focus on the mission, knowing why you budgeting. Now, having a positive mindset to go along with that is going to help you to be able to stick through it and make it happen. So it's definitely very important to have a positive mindset. And then also the next thing is don't quit before you start. And the reason I'm saying don't quit before you start, guys, because it's so easy to quit something once it gets overwhelmed. And budgeting can feel that way, because if this is the first time you're actually going to sit down to actually take a clear financial look at where you're at financially and where you're trying to go. So sometimes, just the thought of doing that is so overwhelming that it forces us to quit. So do not get into analysis paralysis. First thing to do is to just get started. And in order to do that, what you're going to need to do is basically have a plan of action. Just start with the first thing that you know. Look at your expenses. Look at how much money you're making every month. And then you'll be able to focus on the goal that you set out for yourself. And go back to the top, the reason why are you budgeting? That is very important. Why? Because for most of us, that can be very different. Some of us need financial freedom, and some of us need to buy a house. Some of us need to buy a new car, and some of us is looking for that new vacation. you know um these are some of the reasons why people budgeting. So now whatever is important to you, you have to figure that out. Now, before you start budgeting, you have to take the first steps, and the first step is to have the end in mind. Basically what that is to figure out why you want to budget. Really write it down, really take a moment to define that, because that's really important. You're gonna hear me go over why a lot. It's not because it's a broken record. That's because that's how important it is. Really, if you don't know why you're doing it, you are not gonna stick to it. And awareness, that is very big, guys. Awareness is to be able to know where you are and know where you want to go. Now, awareness in that frame of mind, when I come up with awareness in that topics of budgeting, it's knowing your current lifestyle and pay attention to the time frame. You have to have a short-term goal and you have to have a long-term goal when it comes to budgeting. And then income is very important. So you have to know how much money you bringing in every month. And if you have occasional money that comes in here and there, I wouldn't suggest adding those, because those are not set. So, for example, if you have a side hustle and you're not working that side hustle where you're making the most out of it, and you know what the set income that you're making every month, I would not suggest putting that in just yet until you can determine how much that's going to be. Now, it is very important to have wiggle rooms, because what's going to happen is that once you have those wiggle room, you will then be able to know, make adjustment as necessary. So that's important. Expenses, guys. A lot of us, before we get the paycheck, we go out there and buying stuff and count and hoping that it'll be enough to cover everything. Listen, guys, you have to know what your expenses are. Now, I'm not talking about your wants. Those always gonna come up. However, when it comes to your expenses, you need to know what's your utilities going to be. You need to know the things that you can live without, like your utilities, your cell phone, and your food, your gas. Be mindful. If you go to work, you're mostly gonna go to work now with COVID. Most of us don't have too many places to go, so now is a good time to take account in seeing how much money you're spending on gas, and have a clear picture of a monthly expense that you put on that, because that's very important to know. And then also, if you're not alone, you have other family members that you live with, whoever that may be accountable and be mindful of how much you guys spend together on food and gas and your cell phone bills, those utilities. And then also consider your lifestyle, because that's important as well. And banking tools. So basically, what I mean by banking tool is that you do have some banks that gives you an analysis of your money, so that allows you to see what you're spending every month and where your money is going. And then also a good place to look into that is your statement as well. Your banking statements is going to tell you a lot about your money. And be realistic. At the end of the day, we all want to get this, we want to get that, but you have to set a realistic goal, because if you're trying to climb Mountain Everest and you never climb a mountain in your life, it's going to be hard. Just looking at it going to make you quit. So set realistic goals when it comes to your budget, because really you need to know where you are and where you can be in the next 2, 3, or 6 months, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to create smart goals. And the acronym for SMART really is so the acronym for SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, time-stamped goals. What that would be is for you to not only create goals that attainable, but you need to know exactly when you're trying to realize this goal by. And then also be flexible. It's very important to leave room for flexibility in your budget, because things happen. At the end of the day, for example, COVID happened, and some of us lost hours of work, and some of us had to, fortunately, a lot of people had the opportunity to actually work from home. So that was great. And so that's always good to know. And then also, you save more money, because, for example, the time that the restaurants were closed, you guys were eating more at home. So that would allow you, for example, if you're someone that currently have debts, you will be able to allocate some of that money towards paying off those debts faster. Now, accountability is very important as well, because you need to make sure that somebody knows that you're in doing this, because you don't want to be in this by yourself. Because if you're in it by yourself, you tend to quit before you even start. Because really, once you're accountable to someone that can call you out when once you take once your shortcoming shows up, that's, we're humans, we all have those shortcomings, and that's basically usually happens on almost everything that we do. So it's always good to have somebody to be accountable to, and someone that will call you out and then also help you celebrate your wins, because anything that is not celebrated tends to usually not get done. But if you celebrate your success when it comes to your budgeting, you will definitely keep doing it, because then you will create the habits of celebrating that. And the next thing I want to bring to you guys about that is some of the mistakes to avoid. Now, when it comes to budgeting, there's a lot of mistakes that we usually got ourselves into, and I want to help you guys avoiding that. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to budgeting is not having a budget. I cannot stress that enough, guys. Not having a budget is basically hopped in your car and driving with no destination. It's you driving, you basically just going all over the place. You don't know where you're going, but you're on the highway, right? And if you have no destination, you're just going to end up anywhere. And you do not want that when it comes to your finances. And remember, this is Money Monday. This is where we actually talk about how you maximize your income, what you're making, and how to keep most of it in your pocket. And then also how to make more of it. So this is why I'm doing this, just to help you guys pay attention to some of the things, because I did realize one thing. When I went to school, there was no such financial classes where they actually teach you about credit, financing, and things that, to be able to set you up for life. And unfortunately, most of our parents weren't educated on that field as well, so they weren't able to help us. And stop guessing your numbers. It's so easy to do when we're doing a budget. We just go with what we think is right. Guys, cannot stress this enough. It's important to know your numbers. Really, because what's going to happen, it's going to reveal the truth to you. It's going to reveal the things that you have yet to face. And that's important, because having a budget is a data that's going to help you to navigate through the fogs of life. Now, remember, we never pay attention to these things. And one of the quotes I've heard that always resonate with me is, what gets measured gets done. Now, if you don't know what the number is, you cannot attack it. So it's very important when it comes to your budget, know the numbers. That's the I's, cross the T's. That's important. And then also assign expenses by paychecks. That is very crucial. A lot of us, what happened is that we know next week we're going to get a $500 paycheck, and we tend to make decisions based on that next week alone. We're not thinking long term. We're not thinking about the following week, what could happen. That is a very dangerous place to be in, because what happened is that once you set your budget by the paycheck, now there's going to be moments where you're super tight. And that's the situations where most people end up in paycheck to paycheck. You want to avoid that when you're doing your budget. And also not having a tracking system. Now, guys, the athletes, LeBron, Tiger Woods, Seth Curry, these guys track their movements. They track everything. That's how they know. Everything is calculated. So how do you think LeBron gets to be where he is? When he makes mistakes, he knows. He's able to go back and adjust. So when it comes to your budget, don't just wing it. Do it right. And by tracking it, you're now able to make a difference. You're now able to adjust. You're now able to go back and see what didn't work, what worked last month. And that's, your budgeting is going to be something that you have to review every month to make adjustments where necessary. So it's very important to track it, so that way that where some of the shortcomings coming from, and then where some of your wins are coming from. Because like I said, guys, you always have to make sure that you celebrate your wins, because by celebrating your wins, you're going to create positive habits that's going to encourage you to keep doing it. So it's important to do that. And then also leaving things out. Make sure to not leave anything out on your budget. Whether it's that Netflix account, whether it's that Hulu, whether it's that new Disney Plus, don't leave it out. It may seem minimal, but it's important to know that you're giving them $6.99 every month, because that $6.99 is going to be the difference maker every month for you. Because when you start tracking that on a weekly and a monthly basis, it adds up. So be mindful of those. And then also not having your partner involved. Guys, it's important. If you really want to be successful doing your budget, if you currently have a partner that you either living with or you're in a serious relationship with, it's very important to consider. Now, going back to earlier, what I said about accountability partner. So it's going to be important for you to, it's going to be very important to you to have that accountability partner. And if it's your partner that you're actually in a relationship with, it makes things a lot easier. Imagine you guys decided to make the bigger decision down the road where you have to tie up the knots. So it's definitely important to have that accountability partner being part of that journey with you. And then there goes one of the biggest thing. A lot of people stop making budgets and they don't have an emergency funds. Guys, think about it. COVID just happened unexpectedly. Did you know how many people got furloughed? Do you know how many people lost their jobs? Do you know how many people that actually couldn't go to work but they were healthy? So those are some of the reasons why it's important to have an emergency fund, because you see, when things like this happen, you don't know how long it's going to last, and you're not sure how long it's going to go for. Like, they were expecting this thing to be over already, but guess what? It's still getting worse. So it is very important to have some emergency funds. And emergency funds, basically, by knowing your number, you will be able to know what your emergency funds will need to be. Because really having a clear idea what your numbers are, then your emergency funds will basically be enough for 6 months. So just take out all your expenses, some of your lifestyle. You may have to cut down your lifestyle to 30%, but at least you can squeeze that in there. And if worse thing worse to happen, you could actually be able to get by with that 6 month expense and everything covered. And then also, people usually make their budget without including any funds for fun. Guys, if you're gonna do it and you want it to last, you have to have fun. That is hand down. You have to have fun. You have to determine what is fun to you, and then also determine what does it cost to you to have fun. And sometimes you may have fun and it doesn't have to cost you anything. It could be going to the park. It could be driving by the beach if you live in a city like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and you have those things available to you. So those are things that you can do. And then also, so some of you guys who don't know, some banks offer free admission to some museums. So it's very important to be able to do that. So be mindful and find out what's fun to you, and how you can do it, and also include that fun in your budget, because that's also important, because you need to have fun. And then also, people that confusing wants for needs. Now, that is a gray area, depends on where you at, because really, you have to know your needs, your basic living needs. Those are needs. Things that you want to do, like go on a vacation, or maybe nice pair of shoes or nice belt or things like that. Those are wants, and those can wait sometimes. And I'm saying this not to be naive or anything. I do splurge on things here and there, but I plan for them. I don't just go out and do it and then offset something that needs to be done right away in order to get those things. I make sure that I'm able to afford them. And on also, I did mention this already, forgetting the wiggle room. It's important to have a wiggle room when it comes to your budget, because you need to be able to make adjustment as necessary, because things are not constant. If there's anything that's constant in this world, it's change. So you definitely need to be able to wiggle around that. And so if I'm here telling you guys about budgeting and not helping you to get started, then what's the point, right? So I put together a couple of tools that I think will be helpful for you guys. And some of them are kind of interesting, because it's like, duh, but I just felt the need to put it on there, because a lot of us overlooked what it takes to get a budget started. And some of the free tools and resources that I want to bring to your attention is a pen and paper. The first thing to getting your budget started is to know why. So it will require you to write that down. So grab a pen and paper and start with what you already know. Why do you want to get a budget? Why do you want to go on vacation? Why do you want to buy that new house? Or why do you want to buy that new car? So those are the reasons. Those are the things that you can start answering. But having a pen and paper will help you do that. And some of the things I personally use, like for example, Mint. Mint is an app that you could actually get on your phone. You could actually just log in online. It's free. And if you have, for example, certain accounts that you're able to log in online, It allows you to log in on there, and you could actually create a budget inside the app. And every month, some of the things that I like about Mint is that it actually allows you to, it sends you a notification whenever you went over your budget on a specific criteria, or you just basically spend money on a new category that you did not include. It's going to send you that notification. And also, one of the cool things they do have that I like is the weekly summary. So basically, at the end of every week on Sunday or Saturday, however you set it up, they will be sending you a summary about how much money you spend, where did you spend it, and what are some of the things that you spend on. In order to get the summary, you need to link your credit card and debit cards in order to get that access. And Budget Pulse. Now, basically, Budget Pulse is a software that you can download on your computer. Now, guys, everything that I'm mentioning on this list is actually free. So you don't have to pay anything to get those. So I figure if I was going to talk to you about budgeting, one of the most important thing is to help you do it without having to spend any money. So those are free stuff you can get, and you'll be able to use them right away. And New Cash is another software. Basically, it's like an Excel. You download it on your computer. You can plug in your numbers, and then it helps you track it that way. Now, Good Budget is an app similar to Mint, and you'll be able to track your expenses there as well. You plug in everything. It's plug and play. It's easy to use, and then every dollar is another one of those that you can get, and definitely useful to have those if you want to start budgeting and tracking your money. All right, so really, guys, this is it for the budgeting piece of tonight's editions of Money Monday. And really, the reasons I wanted to do this is because I wanted to help you guys be aware of budgeting, because it's an important thing to do when it comes to your money, and then also being able to track it. Now, guys, listen, I do have some tools that I have access to that will be able to help you budgeting. And also, if you currently a person that struggles with debts, I have some debt paying tools that I can help you put together where you'd be able to pay off your debt faster. And then one of the biggest thing nowadays that people don't consider when it comes to budgeting, if you're already living paycheck to paycheck, it's very important to look for things that you can do to generate additional income. Because at the end of the day, anything that will not be taking times away from your current job that allows you to be able to make additional income, that will help you put your budgeting on steroids, basically. What I mean by that is being able to utilize tools that certain other companies already put together just to help you. Now, creating an additional streams of income is not a want, it's a need. When you look at the situation that we're in right now, a lot of people would have to look at the kids, look at the family, not sure how to put food on the table just because they've been furloughed and a job has been impacted by COVID. So, guys, if there was a time that it's important, if you have any questions or you want to talk about opportunities, or maybe you just have questions, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you guys figure this out. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend this evening with me. And definitely looking forward to add more value to you guys. And feel free to ask questions, comments, any thoughts you have. I'd be more than happy to discuss that with you guys. Thank you.